All right, let's get into it. We're looking at a huge lawsuit involving eXp Realty and some really serious sexual assault allegations. But this whole thing goes way deeper, It's asking a massive question about where a company's responsibility stops and an individual's begins.
And really, it all comes down to this one fundamental legal question. It's being put to the test right now in federal court. When something awful happens, who's on the hook? Is it just the people who allegedly did it? Or does the giant corporation they work for share the blame?
So we're jumping into this story at a super critical moment. I mean, this whole high-profile case is basically hanging by a thread. Why? Because the defendants are trying to get a judge to just throw the whole thing out before it even gets to a proper trial.
Okay, to really get what's going on, you gotta know the players. First, you have the plaintiff, Anya Roberts. She's suing two former eXp agents, Michael Bjorkman and David Golden. But here's the kicker, she's not just suing them. She's going after the whole company, eXp World Holdings, and even its CEO. It's also worth pointing out that one person involved, the event host, has already settled up and is out of the picture.
So how in the world did we get to this point? Let's rewind a bit and look at the core allegations to understand what this lawsuit is actually all about.
As you can see, this has been a really long and winding road. The alleged incident happened way back in 2020, but the lawsuit didn't actually get filed for almost 4 years. And since then, it's been this crazy back and forth. eXp was kicked off the case, then put back on, one guy settled, and now here we are, facing these huge motions to dismiss everything.
The whole lawsuit really centers on this one recruiting event. It was a sunset cruise. The plaintiff, Anya Roberts, claims that she was drugged, that she blacked out, and that she later came to the conclusion, based on her own memories and what others told her, that she was assaulted by two of the company's agents.
Okay, so with all that backstory, let's turn to the legal showdown that is happening right now. The defendants have filed for something called summary judgment. Now, this isn't about finding someone guilty or not guilty. Think of it more like a legal shortcut. They're asking the court to just decide that the other side doesn't have a strong enough case to begin with. If the judge agrees, boom, the case ends and there's no big public trial.
And this right here gets to the absolute heart of the conflict. You've got two totally opposite goals. On one side, the plaintiff wants to hold everyone accountable, the individuals and the company they represented. But on the other side, the defendants are trying to snap that link, arguing that there's just no legal reason to blame the corporation for what these agents allegedly did.
All right, let's really break this down. What are the specific legal arguments that eXp and its CEO are actually using to try and make this case just go away?
Their entire strategy is basically to build a legal firewall. And it all rests on two main arguments, both of them designed to convince the judge that the company itself cannot be held responsible for what happened on that cruise.
So, first up is this legal concept called vicarious liability. It's a fancy term, but it just means an employer can be responsible for what their employee does. Well, eXp is saying, nope, not us. They argue this rule doesn't apply because, as they claim, they had zero knowledge of what was allegedly going on.
Their second big argument goes after the idea of negligent hiring and supervision. This is when you claim a company was careless, either in who they hired or how they managed them. And XP's response to that is basically, we did everything we were supposed to do. They say they fulfilled all their legal duties, and there's no provable link between their business practices and what allegedly happened to the plaintiff.
And, the company is not mincing words here. They've made their position crystal clear. A spokesperson put out a statement saying the claims have no basis in fact or law and that they plan to vigorously defend against them. So yeah, they are fighting this tooth and nail.
So after all that legal back and forth, what's the bottom line? What happens next? Where is this all heading?
Okay, all eyes are on this one date, April 17th, 2026. This is the big one. It's when the hearing for these make or break dismissal motions is scheduled to happen in Los Angeles. So at this hearing, Judge Andre Barade is going to listen to all these arguments. You'll have the defense pushing hard to get the case tossed out, and the plaintiff's side arguing why it absolutely has to go to a full trial. And then, the judge makes a call that could completely change the future of this entire lawsuit.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? The judge's decision really boils down to this. Can a company's fate truly be separated from the alleged actions of its agents? The answer isn't just going to decide this one case. It could set a huge precedent for corporate accountability, especially in industries that rely on independent contractors. It really makes you ask,
How much responsibility does a brand really have for the people who fly its flag?